Yes, sir.
So we have already discussed about the Prime Minister. So let us see the Secretariat. Okay, Central Secretariat, also known as the Cabinet Secretariat. Huh? So there is a Secretariat. So the Cabinet Secretariat is responsible for the administration of the Government of India, means transactions of business. The Government Business Rules 1961 and the Government of India Allocation of Business Rules 1961. So there are two rules. So which facilitates smooth functioning of the business in ministers, departments of the government. And this secretariat provides secretarial assistance to the cabinets and its committees. And this also assists in decision making in the government by ensuring interministerial coordination. So naturally, the ministers they cannot do anything without the support of the secretariat. So for their assistance, there is a cabinet secretariat in Government of India. So the cabinet secretariat assists in decision making of the government by ensuring inter-ministerial coordination. So there are so many ministers who are looking after the different departments, different portfolios, different ministries like finance minister, defense minister, home minister, education minister. So the secretariat coordinates all these things, and this secretariat's role is to ironing out differences amongst ministers and the departments and evolving consensus to the instrumentality of the standing or the ad hoc committees. So there are so many committees also, and all the ministers are members of different committees. So through this mechanism, new policy invites initiatives are also promoted. So the cabinet secretariat also ensures that the president, vice president, and the ministers are kept informed of major activities of all ministries, all departments by means of monthly summary and their activities. So the management of major crisis situations in the country and the coordinating activities of various ministries in such a situation is also one of the functions of the cabinet secretariat. So let us see the different functions of the secretariats. These are that the cabinet secretariat functions directly under the prime minister, who is the administrative head of the secretariat, and there is also from the official side there is cabinet secretary, who is also ex officio chairman of the civil services board, and the business allocated to cabinet secretariats under government of India rules 1961, as I already mentioned. So here we have the different functions of the cabinet secretariat. These are allocation and disposable of government business. So the government of India rules 1961 provides and have been framed under the article 77(3) of the Constitution of India. So the first schedule to the allocation of business rules specifies the ministers, departments, officers, and secretariats, while the second schedule is list out the business allocated to different ministries of the government of India. The cabinet secretariat also, its role is to assistance to be provided to the cabinet secretary, to the cabinet and the cabinet committees. So what kind of support they provide? These are to convene the meetings of the cabinet and its committees on the orders of the Prime Minister. Whenever Prime Minister orders, they arrange, they convene the meeting of the cabinet and its committees. They prepare and circulate the agenda. Circulation of papers related to the cases on the agenda. Preparation of the record of discussions. Circulation of the record of discussions after obtaining the approval of the Prime Minister. And then monitoring implementation of the decisions taken by the cabinet and its committees. So these are the assistance provided to the Prime Minister by the Cabinet Secretariat. And then the second role is to promote inter-ministerial coordination. So how they promote inter-ministerial coordination? It is that among the inter-ministerial matters, the coordination is required. Why? It is for the removing difficulties, removing differences, overcoming delays, coordination in administrative actions, and then coordination of policies. So these are the different roles of the Cabinet Secretariat. So now the next topic we'll discuss is Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha. So let us see what Lok Sabha is. So the Lok Sabha is composed of representatives of the people chosen by direct election on the basis of adult suffrage, and the maximum strength of the house as per constitution is 552, which is made up by the elections of up to 530 members to represent the different states and 20 members to represent the union territories. Okay. And 2 members are Anglo-Indian members. They are nominated from the Anglo-Indian community. And they are nominated by the Honorable President. And suppose, in the opinion of the President, that the community is not adequately represented in the House, then after coming into effect of the Constitution, the provision of special representation of Anglo-Indian community in the House of the People by nomination has been extended further. So, the total elected members is distributed among the states in such a way that the ratio between the number of seats allocated to each state and the population of the state is so far practicable. So, you know, the largest number of MPs come from which state? Huh? Anybody? Ankush? Vishal? Hello, Vishal.
Yes, sir.
So the
Yes,
maximum
sir.
of parliament members, MPs, come from which state? Hmm? They come from UP, right? So earlier, when UP and Uttaranchal were the same state, that time the total strength was 85. But after the separation of Uttaranchal, now there are only 5 members from Uttaranchal and 80 members from UP. When Bihar and Jharkhand were not separated, that time the total strength was 54. And now 40 members come from Bihar, 14 members come from Jharkhand. So there is a proper distribution of the members from each state, and this is in such a way that the ratio between the numbers of seats allocated to each state and the population of the state is same for all states. So this is the reason why the number of seats are different in all the states. So this is about the members of the Lok Sabha. So and as we discussed about the prime appointment of the prime minister, as I told that the leader of the majority party is usually elected as the prime minister in the Lok Sabha. When we talk about the states, how the chief minister is elected. So you know who will be the chief minister of Uttaranchal? Anyone from Uttaranchal? 53 members have joined in this meeting. Anyone from Uttaranchal? Is there someone? क्या कोई है कि नहीं उत्तरांचल वाला है? कोई नहीं बोल रहे हो? यूपी से कौन है? प्रवीण कुमार रवि, ऋषभ सिडाना, हेलो हेलो, सिद्धार्थ सुन रहे हो?
यस सर।
Yes, sir.
तुम कहाँ से सिद्धार्थ बताओ?
सर प्लीज पार्डन।
You belong to which state?
Sir, I am from Jharkhand only, sir.
You are from Jharkhand. So, who is going to become the chief minister of UP?
Yogi Adityanath.
Yogi Adityanath. And Uttaranchal?
Pushkar Singh Dhami.
Pushkar Singh Dhami. And you know that Mr. Dhami lost his seat in Vidhan Sabha?
Yes, sir.
But still he have been elected the leader of the majority party, means Bharatiya Janata Party. So now he will be the chief minister of Uttaranchal. And how long he can continue as a chief minister?
For 6 months.
Without getting the membership of Vidhan Sabha, 6 months only. So within this 6 months, someone will vacate his seat, and again the elections will be conducted in that seat, and the Pushkar Singh Dhami has to be elected, and within 6 months. So this is about the membership election and all. So the election process is same as how the Prime Minister is elected. And he is elected from the Parliament, Lok Sabha. So the person must be a member of either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. In the same manner, for the Chief Ministership, the person must be the member of either Lok Sabha, क्या बोलते हैं, Vidhan Sabha, or there is a provision of Vidhan Parishad, है ना, member of Legislative Assembly and member of Legislative Council. So okay, so let us see the functions of Lok Sabha. So usually there are 7 functions. So these all 7 functions can be classified under different heads. Like the first head is legislative functions. So the first function is, legislative function is, the Lok Sabha can pass bills concerning all those subjects which have been included in the union list and concurrent list. It can pass bills regarding state subjects, also in emergencies, or if Rajya Sabha by a resolution passed by majority of its total number and the 2/3 of its members present and voting declared, but such a bill can be valid for only 1 year, and a non-money bill can be initiated in any of the 2 houses, Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha. Or suppose in case the house cannot come to an agreement, then the president may summon a joint session of the both houses of parliament. And then if the bill is passed by the majority of the total members of the houses concerned in a joint session, it is deemed to have been passed by both the houses of parliament. And then since so since the membership of the Lok Sabha is almost double of that of the Rajya Sabha, the will of the former is likely to prevail. So the supremacy of Lok Sabha over Rajya Sabha in ordinary or important non-money bill is self-evident. So the Lok Sabha is naturally the more important body than the Rajya Sabha. So this is the legislative activity, legislative function. The second function is financial functions. So it is the Lok Sabha which controls over purse in an undisputed fact. A money bill must be initiated in Lok Sabha only. That cannot be initiated by the Rajya Sabha. And when passed by the Lok Sabha, it is to be transmitted to the Rajya Sabha for its recommendation. And the Constitution says that the Rajya Sabha can return it with some noting. But if again the Lok Sabha sends its recommendation within 14 days, then the Rajya Sabha cannot deny it and they have to accept. So this is about the money bill. So the money bill will be initiated by the Lok Sabha, and then after passing from the Lok Sabha, it sends its recommendation to the Rajya Sabha. Just for once, Rajya Sabha can return the recommendation with its consideration, some modification, but it is upon the Lok Sabha to accept or reject the recommendation of the Rajya Sabha. and again it will send it to the Rajya Sabha. Then the Rajya Sabha members will have to accept it. So if the Lok Sabha accepts these recommendations, the bill is deemed to have been passed by both of the houses of parliament. And then if the amendment made by the Rajya Sabha are not acceptable to the Rajya Sabha, acceptable to the Lok Sabha, the bill is deemed to have been passed by both the houses. And means the Lok Sabha is superior. So it is said if the bill is passed by the Lok Sabha and while sent to the Rajya Sabha and is not returned within 14 days, again it is deemed to have been passed. So it is the responsibility of the Rajya Sabha to either accept within 14 days. If they are not accepting within 14 days, it is deemed to be passed. And if they may request for some amendment to the Rajya Sabha, but it is the Lok Sabha whether to accept the amendments or not. And when without acceptance, again they will send it back to the Rajya Sabha. They are bound to accept this. Okay, so this is the second financial function. Then third function is control over the executives. Okay. So in a parliamentary form of government, the most important function of lower house is control over the executive. So always remember that the function of the lower house is to control over the executives. So the lower house of the parliament, of our parliament, is not an exception. So just to quote the article 75(3), the Council of Ministers is collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha. Okay. So the status of Lok Sabha is above the cabinet or the Council of Ministers. And the whole Council of Minister members are accountable to the, collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha. This means the ministry must tender resignation if a vote of confidence is passed against it by the Lok Sabha. Okay. So there are other effective methods also adopted by our lower house, like that of the other lower houses in parliament form of government to control the executive. So here the ministers in charge of various departments can be interrogated and censored by the members of the house. And the bill introduced by the government may be accepted or rejected by the house. So many times the adjournment motion may be moved to criticize the government or raise discussions on matters of vital importance for short duration. Right? So adjournation moving a token cut in the budget or the grant to a particular ministry may be passed, reflecting lack of confidence in the ministry by majority in the house. Okay, so if the parliament don't have the, if the ministry has no confidence in the ministry, Lok Sabha, then they can move a cut motion or the adjournment motion. So they move a token cut. They can say, okay, we don't accept this budget. So we are moving cut motion means simply token. 100 rupees, 1 rupee may be deducted. So 1 rupee is not very important, but the motion, cut motion is important. So the opposition in the Lok Sabha can haul up the government by asking questions and supplementary questions. So it is the opposition who always ask questions and supplementary questions to impose control over the cabinet or the council of ministers. So opposition to the government policies reach climax after the address of the president, the parliament. So once again remember, opposition to the government policies reach climax after the address of the president to the parliament. So the president's address is the embodiment of government policy in the ensuing year. Hence, all its aspects are thrashed out by the opposition in the Lok Sabha. And you can remember, you can recall, I had mentioned the Rahul Gandhi address in the Lok Sabha after the presidential address. है ना, याद है तुम लोगों को? है? हमने मेंशन किया था, हमने कहा भी था कि सुनना जरा क्या बोल रहे हैं राहुल जी. Okay, now the electoral function. Let us see the electoral function. The fourth one, we discussed legislative functions, financial functions, then executive functions, control over the executive. Fourth is electoral function. So the Article 54 of the Constitution vests electoral functions with the Parliament. So here the elected member of both the houses of the Parliament constitute a part of electoral college for the President. So as I have told that the President is elected by the voting in Parliament as well as voting in the assemblies, where all the elected members of Lok Sabha, Raj Sabha and the elected members of Vidhan Sabha cast their vote to elect the President of India. And it is about the President. And then Article 66 provides for the election of the Vice President by the members of both the houses of Parliament at a joint session. And so, President is elected by the Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha members, as well as, so this is the electoral function of the Parliament. And Vice President is elected in a joint session of both the houses of the Parliament. And then Lok Sabha also elects its speaker as well. है ना? तो अभी कौन है स्पीकर अभी? थोड़ा देखें आप लोगों का. हर्षिता पाहन सुन रही हो? हर्षिता नहीं सुन रही है. कोमल पोद्दार, नील पारितोष, क्या भाई आप लोग हैं कि नहीं मीटिंग में? आपके नाम दिख रहे हैं हम लोग हमें. पुनीत मुंडा, हेलो पुनीत. नहीं, ऐसे कैसे चलेगा भाई? सागर कुमार, हेलो सागर. अरे कोई जवाब नहीं देते हो तुम लोग. आयुष पाल, आयुष पाल,
Yes, sir.
तो ओके,
Yes, sir.
इतने लोगों का नाम लिया तब जाके आयुष पाल ने रेस्पॉन्ड किया है. सो हु इज द स्पीकर ऑफ लोकसभा? पता है? अभी हाउस चल रहा है. लोकसभा का सत्र भी चल रहा है. कौन है? पता है कि नहीं पता आपको? एंड हु इज वाइस प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया? आयुष, चलो. People are not very much concerned about the Lok Sabha, but you must be concerned about the president and the vice president. हाँ? क्या कौन है भाई? वाइस प्रेसिडेंट? नहीं पता?
Venkaiah Naidu.
हाँ? हेलो,
Sir, Venkaiah Naidu.
वेंकैया नायडू. और स्पीकर का नाम नहीं याद आया ना?
Sir, Om Birla.
ओम बिरला. वेरी गुड. चलो चलो, तुमने रेस्पॉन्ड तो किया. ठीक है. ओके. सो हम लोगों ने 4 फंक्शंस देखे. पहले तो लेजिस्लेटिव फंक्शंस, फाइनेंशियल फंक्शंस, सारे बजट जो है देश के पास होते हैं लोकसभा में, कैसे पास होते हैं मैंने बता दिया. कंट्रोल ओवर द एग्जीक्यूटिव्स, so all the ministers, their departments, so the whole of the council of ministers is accountable to the Lok Sabha, मतलब पार्लियामेंट है ना, लोकसभा particularly. और अगर उनको इस पर विश्वास नहीं कि अच्छा वो डिपार्टमेंट काम नहीं कर रहा है तो नो कॉन्फिडेंस मोशन कैन बी मूव्ड. और अगर वो जो 2/3 मेजोरिटी से वो अगर गिर गया, the whole council of ministers has to resign. Electoral functions, so the parliament elects president and vice president, and also the Lok Sabha members elected the speaker as well. Now, fifth function. So the fifth function is discussion on questions of public importance. So the parliament possesses unlimited power of discussing and debating questions. Addressed by the President of India. So the Parliament is empowered to review and criticize the work of the different departments of state during the discussion on the estimates of expenditure, the appropriation and revenue bills. So whenever such bills are placed before the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha, they held the discussions, and the opposition party leaders, they usually ask the questions from the ministers. Okay. So through such criticism and review, members of House can get their grievance redressed. Okay. And then finally, the miscellaneous power. So let us see some miscellaneous powers. These are the Lok Sabha together with the Rajya Sabha possesses the power of amending the constitution. So they can amend the constitution also. So there have been 104 amendments so far after the constitution was accepted. The Lok Sabha along with the Rajya Sabha has the power to move for the removal of the judges of the Supreme Court and the High Courts on the ground of proved misbehavior or incapacity. है ना? So they can remove the judges of Supreme Court, High Court, on the ground of the proved misbehavior and incapacity. But here 2/3 majority of the members must be present there, and they will cast their vote and they can remove by the majority. Then the third is the Lok Sabha participants in the impeachment of the President of India. Either of the two houses of the parliament frames the charges and the other house sits as a court of trial. है So the Lok Sabha can participate in the impeachment of the President of India. है Then comes the resolution passed by the Lok Sabha for the removal of the Vice President is subject to rectification by Lok Sabha as well. है So Lok Sabha can initiate the impeachment against President of India. Raj Sabha can initiate and make a resolution. They can pass the resolution for the removal of the Vice President, but it is subject to ratification by the Lok Sabha as well. Then proclamation of emergency issued by the President needs approval of Lok Sabha along with the Raj Sabha. So in the year 77, emergency was imposed by the Indira Gandhi cabinet, and finally it was approved by the Lok Sabha. The Lok Sabha, in collaboration with the Raj Sabha, must devise the system of effectively controlling the official bureaucracy by jealously maintaining its purity and the high standard of its ability and making it more responsible to the people at large. So it is the responsibility of the Lok Sabha and the Raj Sabha. And the other function is the House serves as a public forum. So the potential virtue of the public forum is twofold. First, it can benefit the spectators who may learn by watching. And second, it can improve the participants who may have at best to find reasons with which to clothe the interests they represent. So that's why it is said that the House is in fact is the mirror and educator of the popular feeling, and the impact of Parliament is more than political. The habit of orderly discussion, once established, helps to set the tone of public life in the general. And finally, the last function is punitive action against MP by the House. So sometimes it can take punitive action against the outsider as well as its members who commit breach of its privileges. So once on December 19, 1978, expelled Mrs. Indira Gandhi from the primary membership of the House for breach of privileges. So after that, as I told, emergency in India, the year 77, emergency was imposed in 76. Then in 77, Congress lose its government, and then there was Janata Party government from 77 to 1980, and on December 1978, it expelled Mrs. Indira Gandhi from the primary membership of the House for breach of privileges. So these are the functions of the Lok Sabha. Okay, now time is getting over. So let me take your attendance. Very poor attendance. People are here. Downloading attendance list. So, okay, attendance downloaded. I think we can leave now. Huh? Hello? Siddhant, खत्म करें?
Yes, sir.
Okay.